When you fire continuously with a gun, pattern
I see you've caught a vampire bat. The vampire bat bites its victims and sucks their blood.
Got it.
Speaking of bats...
Just save it.
Huh?
I know you're gonna talk about vampire movies. Attack of the Vampire Donuts, or Dracula versus the Space Hippos, or something like that.
Actually, I was going to say that bats are known to use supersonic waves to sense their surroundings.
Oh.
Bats use supersonic waves to sense their surroundings, so you might be able to keep them away by blasting them with a special kind of sound wave. Alternatively, you could try equipping a torch and waving it around with the CQC button. As for taste, I suppose there's no reason you couldn't eat them. Snake, do you hate vampire movies?
What?
Just now, you sounded like you really hated them.
I did?
Yeah,
Oh. Well, no one really likes them, do they?
some people do.
Like you.
Yeah, they're fascinating, you know? Like the movie Dracula...
Don't say it.
Why not?
Just don't.
Are you afraid?
What?
You're afraid of vampires, aren't you?
Don't be ridiculous.
But...
Listen, there are no such things as vampires. They're just a stupid, made-up legend. And if they do seem real sometimes.
well, sure.
You think I'd be afraid of something like that?
No.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm not afraid of vampires.
Uh-huh.
It's just that whenever somebody starts talking about vampires, I end up dreaming about them that night, and I don't need that right now. That's all.
Okay.
You say they have flying platforms out there? Flying platforms are a type of personal VTOL aircraft.
They were working on those in America, too, weren't they?
Yeah, back in the 50s. They were supposedly going to be used for scouting and patrol missions, as well as to spot for artillery units and transport troops into rough territory. They even got an initial prototype off the ground in 1955. But the thing wasn't fast enough, and there were problems with getting it to stop and turn in midair, so they ended up scrapping the project. The ones you see there were built by the Soviets after they got their hands on the American design plans. The American model used a pair of contra-rotating rotors to generate lift, but those Soviet models seem to be using jet engines instead. They must have kept going with their research after the US abandoned its own project. Now they've finally overtaken us. You gotta give them credit for sticking with it. If you get spotted by an enemy riding a flying platform, they'll go into alert phase. The flying platforms themselves don't seem to be armed, but the pilots are carrying Scorpion submachine guns and grenades. The recoil on the Scorpion is low enough so that they should be able to fire one-handed in full auto mode. That gives them some serious firepower.
Get your hands off me. I'm not going anywhere.
Really now? How many times must I tell you?
Tanya!
Each time you resist, your lover will suffer the consequences. Is that clear?
Vulcan. Damn you!
Hold it right there, traitor.
Let's find out just how lucky you are. Watch closely. One of these 3 guns has a single bullet in it. I'm going to pull the trigger 6 times in a row. Are you ready? Huh. Looks like your luck hasn't run out yet.
There's no such thing as luck on the battlefield. You'd better stay in line from now on. The Cobras will take care of him.
Has the CIA dog been disposed of yet?
The pain is dead.
What? He may be a child, but he's definitely one of yours. I fear Khrushchev may have a hand in this. We have no time to lose. You must eliminate him before the final test.
Don't worry. They'll be able to handle it. I'm leaving him to you, the field.
The old man is always sleeping. Is he all right?
The end is saving what life he has left in him for battle. Normally, he's dead. But he'll wake up when the time is right. And when he does, it will be the end for the boy.
Yeah. Sokolov isn't worth your love. You can entertain me until the rain stops. Kuwabara. Kuwabara.
Gisaro, is that you?
Major, Sokolov's been hauled off.
Yes, they probably caught him trying to escape from the lab. Didn't Volgin say that they still needed to perform the final test?
Yeah.
Then Sokolov must have been taken back to the lab. Get to the lab and get Sokolov the hell out of there. Pass through that warehouse and you'll come out south of the lab. Make your way inside the warehouse. Watch out for enemy sentries. The assault rifle can punch through materials like wooden boards. That means you can fire on enemies standing on top of the pier from underneath. Keep that in mind.
Major, Eva isn't responding to the radio.
Right.
Right.
Snake, she's been talking to you from inside an enemy facility. She's not always going to be able to answer the radio. Don't assume something's wrong just because you're not getting a response. Don't worry about Eva. Stay focused on your mission.
Got it. Major, do you know anything about this, Tanya?
No,
Nothing?
not a thing.
Why not? You must have checked up on Sokolov when he defected 2 years ago. If he had a lover...
Make no mistake, we conducted a thorough investigation, but there was nothing about him having a mistress.
Maybe you didn't notice.
That's impossible.
Then he must have become involved with her after he was taken back to Russia.
I wonder.
What is it, Major? Something wrong?
I don't think Sokolov would take a lover.
Why not?
I still remember him 2 years ago. After we got him across the border, the first words he spoke from his hospital bed, after he regained consciousness, were, "Are my wife and daughter safe?" And right up until the time he was taken back to Russia, he kept begging me over and over to take care of his family, almost as if he was delirious. Sokolov is a man who loves his family. Betraying his wife is something he'd...
Major,
What is it?
people change.
Maybe you're right.
Yeah, maybe.
Snake, let's go over the controls for...
I see you've caught a tree frog. The tree frog is a green frog that's found throughout Asia. It's arboreal, spending most of its time in shrubs and bushes. But the tree frogs that live in that jungle are a lot bigger than ordinary tree frogs.
They've got an appetite, huh?
You've got a one-track mind, don't you? But seriously, that is one theory. However, there are people who think it's a mutation caused by nuclear testing and waste from the research facility.
Do you think they're safe to eat?
Is that all you ever think about?
What else is there?
Lots.
Like what?
Like why a frog would get so big in the first place. Whether it's a temporary phenomenon created by a unique environment, or a permanent mark of evolution, or a product of the toxic waste coming out of the research facility. If it is the waste that's causing it, then it means humans are interfering with the ecosystem. It really makes you think about the changing relationship between...
This isn't interesting.
Oh, fine. Be that way.
So, how about it?
You mean, is it edible?
Yeah,
Well, I guess it's probably okay.
probably.
I don't know. The guide doesn't say anything.
Pretty useless guide, if you ask me.
Well, try one for dinner and you can help improve it.
Hey, what's that you're wearing?
Night vision goggles. This gadget lets me see in the dark by amplifying light and displaying it as images.
Amplifying light?
That's what it looks like to me.
Well, I'll be damned. They're working on something like that here in the States, but so far it's not viable unless it's coupled with an infrared searchlight. And now the Russians have something you can carry with you. Anyway, those goggles should give you a decent visual range even in dark places. But don't look at anything bright like fire or it'll get burned into your eyes and you won't be able to see for a while. Be careful. You're on a solo sneaking mission. Your success is based on your ability to survive. That's where the survival viewer comes in. The survival viewer contains everything you need to survive out in the field. Use camouflage to change your camouflage and backpack to select your gear. Use food to eat, cure to treat wounds, and map to view a detail of the area. You've also got options. That lets you change the settings to suit your mission preferences. Got it?
HQ.
This is HQ.
Patrol here. Under fire. Enemy position unknown. Commencing alert status.
Acknowledged. Sending reinforcements. Use extra caution.
Snake, that building next to you is a provisions storehouse.
A provision storehouse is where the enemy keeps their food. Enemy units in that area use it to stock up on rations. So if you happen to blow up a provision storehouse, the enemies in that area won't be able to get any more rations. Spetsnaz are people too. They gotta eat, or their stamina starts to go down. They might pass out more easily or lose their concentration and start to shoot less accurately. Who knows? They'll probably be a little more desperate for food just lying around. Basically, if you get rid of a provision storehouse, the enemies in that area will get physically weaker.
By destroying a provisions warehouse, you can cut off the food supply to enemies in the surrounding area. It may be worthwhile if you have time and materials to spare.
Your field uniform...
I see you found a Russian false mango. Looks like you're in a building. If people are living there, there's bound to be people food.
People food?
Soviet military rations. It beats eating raw snakes and mushrooms all the time, doesn't it?
I'm getting to like raw snake and mushroom.
You really are turning into an animal. The gauge below your life gauge is your stamina gauge. It shows, as the name suggests, your remaining stamina. As you consume stamina, your natural life regeneration is slowed and your hands shake more. Your O2 gauge and grip gauge also become shorter. Excessively low stamina can often impede your mission objectives. Make sure you replenish stamina before that occurs.
Covering your body is a good
To eat?
Snake, that building... Snake, that...
This works. I'm stuffed. Really tasty.
Snake, the land where Sokolov is being held is to the north of that forest. Keep on heading north. Snake, watch out. It seems that forest is rigged with a number of traps. Most of the traps seem to be triggered by tripping a rope stretched across the ground. Don't just run around like a fool. Keep an eye on the ground and watch where you step. Some ropes may be placed so they're hidden in the vegetation. Be extra careful when you're cutting through the underbrush. If you use the directional buttons to move around stalking, you should be able to spot the traps before you step on them. Use stalking to move safely through suspicious-looking areas.
There seem to be traps planted throughout that area, and they look a little primitive.
Yeah, but this is their territory. Why would they need this many traps here?
Maybe it's part of some kind of tactical research.
Tactical research?
Yeah. As I'm sure you know, the Soviet Union is leading a worldwide revolution among communist forces all over the globe. But a lot of the countries involved don't have the necessary funds and industrial technology, so they need tactics that are both effective and economical.
That's what they're researching?
Yeah, and traps are one of the best ways to do that. I'll bet that place is one of their testing grounds. Clappers, arrows, pendulums, all of these traps are set off by applying force to a rope. Don't touch the ropes and you'll be fine. Use rolling to get over them, or just crawl under them. Either way ought to work. If you do set off a trap and an arrow or a spiked pendulum comes flying your way, you can still dodge it by immediately diving out of the way. Pit traps and snares are camouflaged into the ground to make them harder to detect. But if you look carefully enough, you can see them through the disguise. Try stalking to proceed with extra caution. In any case, if you think there might be traps lying around, keep a close eye on the ground and stay alert.
You got some instant noodles, huh?
Instant noodles?
Uh-huh. It was invented in Japan just recently. Add some hot water and it's ready to eat. It's cheap and can be stored for a long time. And besides, it's delicious. It's like a miracle food.
Wow.
Speaking of which...
Yeah?
Are you going to eat that?
I was planning on it, yeah.
Oh, all right.
Is there some reason I shouldn't?
No, that's not what I meant.
Then what did you mean?
I was just going to say that if you weren't going to eat it, you should bring it back to me. I've always wanted to try some.
Whatever.
Whenever you find a new weapon or piece of equipment, the first thing you do is drop it in your backpack, right? But you can't use your new goodies if they're just sitting in your backpack. To use a weapon or piece of equipment, first you have to take it out of your backpack and place it on your person. To take an item out of your backpack, use the backpack option in the survival viewer. To place a weapon on your person, select Weapon under the Backpack section of the survival viewer. See that window on the left? That shows a list of all the weapons you've got. Choose the weapon you want to carry from the list and press the enter button to take it out of your backpack. Just remember that there's a limit to the number of weapons you can carry at the same time, so put back any stuff you don't need. To put a weapon on your person back into your backpack, choose a weapon that's already on you from the weapon list and press the enter button. Or you can just line up the icon for the weapon you want to put away with the lower right and press the enter button. Do whatever works best.
Sokolov is inside the lab. Look for a way in and use it to infiltrate the lab. Sokolov is inside the lab. Look for a way in.
Tiger Stripe is a forest camp. The water pattern was used a lot by the old German Defense Force. Even though it's called the water pattern, it wasn't designed specifically to blend in underwater. They only gave it that name because the pattern resembles the waves on the surface of a pool of water. But still, it really does look like it could be confused for liquid waves. It might conceal you underwater. Keep in mind that every weapon and piece... Keep in mind... Snow, as you might have guessed, is a winter camouflage.
When you get hurt, you're...
Okay, just a second.
Desert is a brown... Keep in mind, you're on a raindrop with splitter, snow, the